Hey guys, my name is Tristan. I'm a millennial, and just like many of you out there, or at least some of you, I celebrated a birthday recently. Just so happened that this year, me and Martin Luther King happened to share a birthday. Over the last year or so, I've discovered a lot of things that I really want to achieve financially that I wish I had known when I was younger. Hindsight is always 2020. So now that I'm actually 29 years old, there's some financial goals that I want to hit before I turn 30 that I think that will help me for the rest of my life. A popular saying that I hear a lot is that people spend their 30s trying to fix mistakes that they made in their 20s. And realizing that I'm not where I should be or thought I would be by the age 30 is going to put me ahead of where most people are. However, just because I'm ahead of where most people are currently, that doesn't make me feel like I'm where I should have been to start. For example, the average debt for someone who's in their 40s is about $40,000, and my plan by the time I hit 30 is to actually be debt free. So comparing myself to what's normal, it doesn't make me feel good because I know that what's normal is wrong. I know that sounds really judgmental, and I'm not trying to judge people for their current financial positions. I'm judging myself on my current financial position, regardless of what are the financial positions of those around me. So I thought it would be a good idea to put together a video of all the financial goals that I would love to hit by the time I hit 30, and hopefully it gives you some sort of benchmark for you to hit by the time you hit 32. And number one on my list is that I want to be debt free by January 18th, 2021, which is when I'll be 30. I grew up most of my life thinking that debt was okay. It was something that we needed to have, and it was something that if you had, it made your life easier. Who would want to pay $20,000 up front for a car when you can just finance it? But as I got older and I started to educate myself more on finances, I realized that you actually spend more money paying the minimum down payment on your car. So because you can't afford it up front, you're actually spending more money because you can't afford it, essentially. That's what it essentially is. And that's where the idea of you have to spend more money if you're poor, because you pay interest on the things that you can't afford if you take out a loan on it, or if you buy money, or if you use credit cards incorrectly. I'll actually show you why it's so crazy to have debt and how much interest you're going to be paying if you just don't get it out of your life. So the app that I'm using is called the Baby Steps app, and I'll throw it on the screen right here. So far, I paid off $5,398, and I have $67,025 left to go to pay off. Now, my debts range from the IRS for some bills that I didn't pay when I was younger, ranging to like phone bills with T-Mobile, AT&T, some work-related stuff that I don't think I should have to pay, but it's on there and it's stupid. I signed a stupid contract. It's whatever. I have my Jetta, $10,000 pretty much left on it, and I have a repo for the Nissan, $15,000 and some change, and then I have my college, which is the bulk of my debt, which is $40,000. Now, if I were to only pay the minimums on these payments, I'd be debt free by May 2039. That's in 18 years, and that's 18 years too far. I think that I can pay off $70,000 worth of debt in just 1 year, and I'll save a lot of money by doing so. And that's because if I were to actually pay off this $70,000 this year compared to paying it off in 18 years, that $70,000 will actually be more money over time because of the interest that's continually compounding every month, and in some cases every day. So for example, if you didn't know, some credit card companies, when you miss your payment for the month, it doesn't compound the interest for the month, it compounds the interest for every day that you're late. That's how they work, and that's how they get you. That's why paying off my debt is my number one priority to do before I turn 30. That means that this year, at minimum, not including my daily bills, I need to make $67,000 just to clear my debt. I've got some work to do. The next step is to lower my personal bills to $1,000 per month. A lot of people tend to think that the only way to generate more money is to make more money, but a good way to generate more money is to spend less money too. So this has been a few years in the making. I've been trying to get my bills down to 25% of my monthly income. When I started this, I was making $50,000 a year. Right now, I don't know how much money I'm going to be making this year because I'm doing some solo dolo ventures. But I want to invest as much of that money into the stock market because I'm behind on what I should have been investing in. So let's say after tax, I was able to bring home $6,000. Now 6 times 12 is $72,000, and that would help me pay off my debt, right? Now, outside of that, once I'm debt free and I was still bringing home that amount of money, I'd be able to invest $5,000 into the stock market if my bills was only $1,000 per month. And in the course of 10 years, that investment will come up to $1 million. And one of my goals to hit before I'm 40 is to become a millionaire, whether it's through assets or through cash on hand. So by lowering my bills to $1,000 before I turn 30, once I do turn 30, it'll help me put myself on track to my 40-year-old goal. So some of the goals I'm setting now to hit by the time I'm 30, it's going to be in conjunction with a larger picture of goals to hit by the time I'm 40. By lowering my bills to $1,000, it's currently sitting at $1,400. I'll be able to hit my next goal. And my next goal is to have 3 months worth of emergency fund saved up. So my emergency fund is calculated based off of my monthly expenses multiplied by a certain amount of months. Currently, as I'm moving myself out of debt, my emergency fund is set to $1,000 just to handle certain emergencies. I would like to increase it to about $1,400 so that if something happens, I'm just not able to make any money for a month, I can still afford that month's worth of expenses. But once I pay off my debt, I want to have 3 months worth of expenses. We can probably push it to 6 just because of how low it is. And I'll be able to have $3,000 to $6,000 for any type of emergencies where if I can't work, I will still have money to fund my expenses. And if you don't have an emergency fund, I can promise you, you look at life a little differently. Like when I was having car issues, but I had my emergency fund, it was like, oh no, my car's broken. We'll get it taken care of. But I've been in situations before where I didn't have emergency funds, where I had to sleep on friends' couches just because I didn't have money saved up for when I had a relationship go really sour and I had to leave. So having that emergency fund, it changes how you view life, and it really has a positive impact on your stress levels. So I definitely recommend having one. And if you don't have one, that you set up a plan to get one. Another financial goal that I have, where there's no specific number, is that I want to have at least 2 semi-passive streams of income. By semi-passive, I mean the work that I do today pays for itself moving forward. So one good example of this is YouTube. I'm putting in a lot of hours making these videos, a lot of time editing these videos, and I'm not getting paid much for it now, but in the future, if I keep at it and I keep going and my subscriber base builds, then I know that that work that I have done will keep generating money for me, right? So the work that I did was active, but then once it's put out into the universe, it's passively generating me income. So that's the goal. One of them is going to be YouTube. I hope. I would need 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you subscribe if you're watching this. And I'm not quite sure what the other one will be, but we'll figure it out and we'll get there. The purpose of this is to just have a plan so you can achieve that plan, right? Because if you don't know where you're aiming, you're going to end up nowhere. So one of my next financial goals is to actually max out my Roth IRA that I don't have yet. So I learned about Roth IRA, and if you don't know what a Roth IRA is, when you turn 59 and a half years old, any money you've made within your Roth IRA, you can withdraw it tax-free. When it comes to Roth IRA, you only pay taxes on what you put into it. And the government allows us to only put in $6,000 every year into a Roth IRA. So I'm going to show you the power of a Roth IRA using Dave Ramsey's investment calculator. Let's say I'm able to max out my IRA before I turn 30. So that means I'm 29 years old, and I'd be able to pull it out at 59 years old. What is that, 30 years? I'll have $0 saved. So that means I'm starting with nothing in my Roth IRA. I'm going to contribute whatever 12 divided by 6,000 divided by 12 is, which is 500. That's 500 a month. Let's say my annual return is 12%. That means in 30 years, I will have 1.75, we'll round it up, $1 million. And of that, right, I contributed $180,000, which I pay tax on already because, you know, when you get paid, you pay tax on that money already, and then you put it into your Roth IRA account. It doesn't go straight from paycheck to Roth. And the growth is $1.5 million. So in 30 years, if I max out my Roth, which the amount will change every year depending on what the government says, I will have $1.5 million untaxed, right? So 1.5 million tax at just the federal level is like, well, once you add federal in certain state, it's like half. So you're saving $750,000 in taxes by using a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is super powerful, and because there's a max to how much money you can put into it, starting as young as possible is the best way to go. Now, if you have children, you can start it for your children, strongly recommend it, and you'll change your family tree. Like, even if you mess up at life, if you just never touch your Roth IRA, and at 60, you blew all your money, you hit the lottery 3 times and you spent it all, but at 60, you get this saving grace of a Roth IRA, and that's why it is so important. So I want to get started on that, but before I can invest into my Roth IRA, I need to make sure I'm debt free. I realized that investing while I'm in debt isn't the smartest move because, as you saw, the average return is 12%. Well, what if my car note is 20%? What if my credit card is 30%? Then I'm losing money, right? I'm losing the difference between 14% and 30% because of my debt. That's why paying off my debt is more important than investing into my Roth IRA, because I'm losing money that way. If I carry my debt for 30 years, I'll probably pay more money on that than I would in my Roth IRA, which is why paying off your debt is super important, especially when you have high interest rate debt. All right, so the last goal that I have on this list is more of be a personal achievement. That's to make $10,000 in 1 month. If you make $10,000 per month, that's $120,000 per year. If I could do that once this year, I think I'll be pretty damn happy. So that's just a goal that I want to hit. That month is going to be a really rough month. I don't plan on sleeping a lot that month, and I don't know what month that's going to be. But I'm looking forward to just making $10,000 in 1 month. The most money I've ever made in 1 month was after taxes, of course. It's about $4,000, and I can do better than that. In fact, I was recently in a class, a coding boot camp that ran from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. I would have owed $30,000 if I continued doing that. And then I might have gotten a job making $100K. But as I really started to sit down and think about my drive and my talents and what I could do, I realized that I'm better than that. I think I can make a lot more money than that and make it a lot easier than that. So this year, that's what I'll be chasing. This will be my first year not working your regular job. I'll be my own boss from the start of the year to the end of the year. And I'm excited to challenge myself to see just how far I'll go, just how much money I'll make. And I'm going to share it with you guys. I want to encourage more people that making money, it doesn't have to be a painful process where you don't benefit from it as much as you should. I was tired of making other people rich using my talents. And now I'm ready to make myself rich, to invest in myself so that I can invest in my family tree and my family members so that we can grow together. So I'm excited to put myself in this position. I'm excited that lowering my bills has afforded me the opportunity to afford this. My bills used to be like $2,000. I cut that down by almost half, and I'm going to cut it down more just so that I can focus on the things that I want to do without worrying about where I'm going to sleep, if my car is going to get towed. I don't have those worries anymore because the amount of money I need to survive is so low. So that's going to help me hit a lot of these goals by the time I'm 30. If you're about to hit a milestone, you're about to hit 20, you're about to hit 25, post it below. I want to know what some of your goals are going to be. And I want to encourage you to achieve them. And I'm going to go back to that post every couple of years. I'm going to read your comments. I'm going to say, okay, you said by 25, you were 20 at this time. It's been 5 years. Where are you at? What can I do to help you get there? Have your goals grown? Did you underestimate? Did you overestimate? So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be in this position. And here's something I'm not excited about. Saying goodbye. I gotta go, guys. The video has to end sometimes. Just make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. It'll help me out a lot to build that second stream of income. If you guys subscribe, I have to get to 1,000 subscribers. By liking this and smashing the like button, it helps a lot. So please do it for me. Peace.